welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back. As I mentioned before, here we are. We're in episode 89 of this show. 89. I can't believe I've still been unable to work. Not been unable to work. No one has even thought to pretend to hire me. Welcome back. I'm just going through the email, apparently. I decided to do that while I was talking. What's been going on? Oh, I had the second interview for the unnamed industry job. It went well. Actually, let me look at my notes. It did go well, but let me. I obviously I took notes, and I am against using AI tools to replace workers. However, on my phone, the S25 Ultra, not a sponsor. I wish they would sponsor me. Give me a new phone every year. I recorded the two interviews, and then I used the AI tool on here to summarize and to give me all this stuff. And in fact, I was so desperate before this interview. I was like, I have to use every fucking tool in my belt. And I did the thing that people do now, and I threw everything on an AI tool of my choice. I will not say which one, and because I have access to at least 4. And I didn't do the interview thing. Pretend to give me an interview. I did give it my resume, and what else did I give it? The job description, and say, this is am I good at this? Also, because and answer me questions and tell me this stuff. Anyway, and also, the reason why I did that is because I wanted to, again, use every tool available to me. Lay down, buddy. Lay down now. Available at my whim, at my discretion. So it's very important. I'm going to take a pause on this. I'm very frustrated with Maverick at this point. We dealt with a bout of fleas, and for, I don't know, maybe roughly 2 weeks, he was scratching like crazy. They were on the couch, and this weekend, the fleas have been destroyed from the home and from the pets. And so now he's back to his old self of barking at everything. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so using the AI tool that shall not be named, it was good to have all that stuff at least summarized and put together, and why I'm good at this job and everything, which I did refer to. I had it make a list. Oh, also I wanted to say that because AI tools, I want to keep saying that, AI tools. If this were the Constitutionals, I would call this episode AI tools. But because using AI takes a lot of water, I gave it a very detailed prompt. I wrote roughly, in every response, I wrote roughly, and very specifically, a paragraph or 2. Just so I didn't waste time, because I needed exactly what I needed. But the interview went well. It was not with the people I initially spoke to at the organization. I'm going to be very optimistic. We'll see what happens. I'll be cautiously optimistic. I'll be partially optimistic, a little bit above cautiously, but below very. And we'll hopefully something good comes from that, like a job, and not you did really well during the interviews. We're just not gonna go with you. I don't know why I made them Italian like that. And that's all I have to say about that. It did. There was on Friday, because it was on Friday at 2. It was supposed to be at 2 p.m. And I'm sitting here recording the Constitutionals on Friday at 11:30, and I get an email. I see it on my phone, and I get emails all the time. I throw it to the side while I'm recording, and then I see out of the corner of my eye my phone light up and a New York area code, and I know for a fact that is Creative Circle, the recruiting company, giving me a call, and I went, oh, I gotta pause. So I paused the recording, and then they told me, hey, can you move it up to 1:30? And I went, yeah, I'm not doing anything. Might as well. And excuse me, no, they called me at 12:30. No, they called me at 1. That's right. They called me at 1. That's right. Because I recorded late, and then I was supposed to work out at 1:30, do some stretches, and then at 2, at 2 do the call. And then they were like, hey, can you do it in 20 minutes? That's right. That's exactly what happened. I forgot. It wasn't 11:30. All right, let's get on with the news here. Why did it not pop up? This first story comes from Reuters, written by Greg Bessinger. Oh, there you go. Oh, no. Oh, no. Wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. This first story comes from Greg Bessinger and Deborah Mary Sophia over at what's it called? Reuters. Amazon to cut about 14,000 corporate jobs in AI push. They initially reported this job on last Monday. What is that? 8 days ago, the 20th, I believe. They first reported that, or excuse me, Reuters first reported that as many as 30,000 employees could be gone. But it was announced today that Amazon will reduce today, October 28th, its global corporate workforce by about 14,000 people, with more cuts expected to come. This had been hinted at by the New York Times, I believe, last week. Or prior to last week. Amazon is working to compensate for overhiring during the peak demand of the pandemic and to limit costs as it enters a crucial holiday selling season. The layoffs offer an early look at the possibly broad effects on AI and workforces. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy flagged the potential for such losses in June, saying increased use of AI tools and agents would lead to more corporate job cuts, particularly through automating routine tasks. Amazon had about 1.56 million full-time and part-time employees at the end of last year. Its corporate workforce includes roughly 350,000 employees. So they're taking 30,000 from that 350,000 employees. Amazon will offer most affected workers 90 days to look for a new role internally and said its recruiting teams would prioritize those candidates. I mean, at least some of those people have this built-in time. It's unfortunate that they lost their jobs, but at least they have their built-in time, because I can tell you for every job that I've been laid off from or let go from, or my contract wasn't renewed, it's almost immediate. Jassy is undertaking an initiative to reduce what he has described as a surefire of bureaucracy. Let's see what that says. Surfeit. Thank you. Of bureaucracy, including by reducing the numbers of managers. He spun up an anonymous complaint line for identifying inefficiencies that has elicited some 1,500 responses and over 450 process changes. This is the biggest set of job cuts at the company since late 2022 and early 2023, when 27 jobs were dismissed. The people that have been, the departments that were affected include devices, advertising, Prime Video, HR, operations, Alexa, and Amazon's cloud computing unit, Amazon Web Services, which just had the biggest issues last week. Speaking of which, was it last week or the week before? But when Amazon Web Services went down, it took down Strava, Garmin, Peloton, things I use every single day. And this morning when I was on the bike, no big deal. I just, within the last 3 weeks, redid my FTP test, and I jumped up a lot of points. And now all of my Power Zone classes are hard as shit. I did a regular Power Zone class this morning, and I was after the gym. So my legs are, after leg day, my legs are spent. So I'm sitting there on the bike, getting through Matt Wilpers. I'm crying, watching Blind Spot. And I have about 5 minutes left. And at 4 minutes and 36 seconds, though, not the Wi-Fi, not the Google Fiber in the apartment, but the Wi-Fi on my iPad Pro cuts out. And it just stops working. And then this is why I buy cellular. I threw it to cellular. It's Peloton's continued to whirl, but I could still use the internet. So Peloton went down again, and I was pissed. I had to finish out, and thankfully, Power Zone, it's very predictable. I had to finish out the last 5 minutes on my own, but man, that was tough. And then I had to do it by myself. First world problems. Now, Amazon is not the only company to have to deal with cutting jobs as well. We know that, yes, my access to New York Times will expire soon if I don't update my payment information. This comes from the New York Times. It's written by Mike Isaac and Eli Tan. Meta cuts 600 jobs at AI Superintelligence Labs. Now, this is an early last week thing, but Meta had recently hired a bunch of new AI people who are being paid a lot of money. Now that will not affect those new people hired. The cuts are focused on a separate hiring spree. So 600 jobs are being let go. The layoffs were in Meta's so-called Superintelligence Labs, which is the umbrella name for the company's AI efforts. The division has around 3,000 employees, though the exact number of workers was unclear. The company hired a bunch of AI researchers, including a new chief AI officer, Alexander Wang. So this guy doesn't have an E in Alexander. He has an E in the Alex, but not in the Ander part, which is ridiculous. The cuts on Wednesday did not affect these new hires, who have been empowered to develop, quote, superintelligence or artificial intelligence that exceeds the human brain. Instead, the job cuts were aimed at cleaning up the organizational bloat that resulted from 3 years of building up Meta's AI efforts too quickly, two people with the knowledge of the matter said. The layoffs aim to help Meta develop AI products more rapidly. Mr. Wang wrote, by reducing the size of our team, fewer conversations will be required to make a decision, and each person will be more load-bearing and have more scope and impact. That Mr. Wang wrote in a memo circulated to employees. Now, here's the interesting part is, it sounds like they're going back. I mean, they're still continuing that oft-quoted Silicon Valley BS about move fast and break things. There should be more conversations about AI. There shouldn't be a focus on to make things faster with this technology or surrounding this technology, because that's how you end up with Skynet. In fact, there should be slower movement when it comes to it. And I completely, yes, I know they have to keep up with Apple. They have to keep up with Google. They have to keep up with OpenAI. But at some point, having this over-reliance on AI is just going to bite them in the butt, because, what happens when something illegal happens on the Meta Quest 3 or the Meta Quest 4 or whatever ones come after that, and some kid finds some adult thing that they should not be dealing with, or AI, the messenger. There's like a chat bot introduced on Facebook Messenger, and then that allows some kid, I don't know if kids still use Facebook, that allows somebody to to have unnatural thoughts and then want to kill themselves because of that stuff. This movement surrounding AI is just there. I feel like it's ill conceived. Excuse me, it's ill conceived, and yes, there can be benefits from it, and no one industry should shy away from it, because yes, there are ways that can help, but there needs to be some caution surrounding it, because again, we're seeing a lot of effects from it that aren't necessarily as positive as, hey, help me budget for my family's vacation. God, I wish I could go on a vacation. This next one comes from Reuters, written by Reuters. Paramount plans to keep Warner Brothers largely intact after the merger, Bloomberg News reports. Now, you may say, hey, wait a minute. Paramount has not purchased Warner Brothers, and that is very correct. But that is not stopping Paramount Skydance, the newly merged Paramount Skydance, to have lofty dreams about what could happen. Everybody in the industry that I have read, that in the entertainment industry that I've read about, is not happy about this. I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are, and they'll say this will, like, fans will say this will make things easier, in the same way that, when Disney bought Fox, people were excited because, that meant Wolverine could appear in something with Iron Man. But there's a lot of cost that comes with it. Thousands of jobs. And at this point, in this case, more than thousands. Tens of thousands of jobs could be at stake. I mentioned this on the Constitutionals, but I was at the dog park last week, and I don't often talk about my interests around people I don't know very much or very well. But you're at the dog park, and I don't expect much out of conversation. And this one gentleman, who's a very nice guy, told me that I mentioned, like, I was just like, industry's kind of difficult right now, and it's Paramount, all these mergers happening, and Paramount Skydance bought Paramount, and blah blah blah. He goes, well, it didn't go through. I went, what? Like, it didn't go through. It's not legal. It's like, it's not going to happen. Like, no, I'm pretty sure that at this point, on paper, to the very least, it's in. It's very funny when someone who's nowhere near in the industry, and they read things on page 6, tell you they tell you that, and they don't follow up on sourcing or anything. Yeah, it was on the news. It's not real. Now there are two companies again. Like, no, it's right now, for now, but whatever. Anyway, CEO David Ellison from Paramount Skydance wants to keep Warner Brothers Discovery pretty much as the way it is, as he aims to retain creative teams at both studios while streamlining marketing and distribution. This comes from Reuters via Bloomberg News last week. We don't know if it's initially true or not. If you don't recall, oh wait, that was on Constitutionals. Okay, so after Paramount Skydance has become a thing, at least on paper and in name, Warner Brothers, we know next year, is set to split up into two halves. The streaming in the studio, so HBO Max and Warner Brothers Movie Studio, and then everything else that doesn't make money. The cable networks, and this and that and the other. Anyway, with Zaslav running the profitable side, and then another side being run by another white man. So we know that is set to happen at some point next year. The prevailing theory, which was confirmed last week, is that Warner Brothers is up for sale. Now, with Warner Brothers up for sale, they are looking for suitors who can afford to, at this point in time, buy the entire company outright. As opposed, if you wait for the split, there's a possibility that the streaming and the studio side could be much more expensive, and then the cable platforms like CNN and everything else can be much cheaper. But then the other theory is that if you buy the whole company now, then you won't be paying as much. So Warner Brothers is touting itself at this point. Their feelers are out. It's on a dating app. It's hitting the heart. It's hitting X on Hinge, or Raya, I guess at this point, because it's Warner Brothers. And the companies that are interested reportedly are Paramount and Apple and Netflix and maybe Comcast. At some point between late September to as late as recent as a couple of weeks ago, Ellison from Paramount Skydance have been throwing out offers to Warner Brothers. The latest offer was $60 billion. So they did 3 offers, and the latest offer had been $60 billion, which is not enough for what Warner Brothers is. I was about to say what CNN is. CNN today just dropped a new. They put all the. You can get streaming from CNN for $7 a month, I guess, at this point on CNN.com. I don't know why you would do that, but there's crazier subscriptions out there. No decisions have been. I'm back to the Reuters article. No decisions have been made on whether Paramount would divest real estate assets tied to either company, the Bloomberg report said, citing people familiar with the matter, adding that under Ellison's plan, Warner Bros. HBO Max streaming service would merge into the existing Paramount Plus platform. No, thank you. Paramount Plus stinks. Every time I have Google TV. Every time I close down Paramount Plus, I go from Paramount Plus to something else. I'm watching Matlock. I'm done watching Matlock. I go somewhere else. Let's say HBO Max. I come back. I'm going to watch Ghosts. And then the app is always clipped. Nothing works right. I have to force stop it. It's ridiculous. What's more frustrating is that Paramount just updated the mobile apps, and they work so much better. So, gosh, they work so much better than the TV apps. And a TV app, for the longest time, Dolby Vision didn't work. It would turn everything green. So I'm sitting there watching Star Trek, and it's green. To stop it, start it back. It's ridiculous. There are no plans to sell or spin off the cable networks of either business, the report added, although Paramount CBS News could potentially share resources with Warner Bros. CNN News division, according to the report. Here's the thing. Both of these companies are doing basically essentially the same exact thing. They both have streaming platforms. They both have failing cable networks. They both have failing news networks. How can you say CBS News and CNN will share the same resources when they're reporting on the same stories? It doesn't make sense. It would be like, if what's it called? Peloton purchased Hydro and they said, hey, we're still going to offer those Hydro classes. No, it doesn't make sense when you have your own rowing on Peloton. Why would you, that makes it, I just don't understand why the initial thought is, hey, we're going to lie and we're going to say this is going to happen, when in reality, after 6 or 7 months or maybe even a year, should this lofty merger happen, they would go, okay, CNN's shutting down. Now, I also want to include this. Ted Sarandos from Netflix, he said, and I'm going to butcher this quote, he said they're not in the interest of buying networks, of buying legacy networks, which means, let's pretend Netflix is in the running for this and they actually want to do this. Well, Netflix is in the running, but they want to do this. He wouldn't want to buy the company as a split. Netflix would rather go for the streaming and the studios, which includes like DC Comics movies and Harry Potter, or Netflix could buy the whole company outright and then just let the networks run themselves. And then Apple was a contender, is a contender as well. If it has to come to selling, I would say maybe Apple, not just because they have the capital, but they have zero reason to excise much of the company. We're for Netflix. Yeah, Netflix. We're for Netflix. I was like, wait a minute. We're for Netflix. That company would, go, all right, let's shut down Cartoon Network. Let's move all that stuff over to Netflix Kids. Let's cancel all that stuff. Let's get rid of TNT. Let's get rid of TBS. Even though, those are basically nothing at this point. And then Comcast Universal, it's in the same, NBC Universal, it's in the same boat as Paramount Skydance. I just don't, it doesn't make sense. Also, a lot of these companies are just two names: Paramount Skydance, Warner Bros. Discovery, NBC's NBC Universal. All right, and the final thing, this comes from CBS News. Georgia's film industry is facing a slowdown, but creatives remain hopeful for the next big wave. It's written by Alexa Liatko. Little known fact: CBS News Atlanta's affiliate, the newly established affiliate, did not hire me. Do I know people that work there? Oh, I do. Have I been told multiple times, oh, you should apply? Oh, sweetheart, I have. We know that Georgia has been steadily on pace with growth when it comes to making movies and TV shows. And then within the last couple of years, it's just not all of them, but a lot of the stuff that was shooting here, a lot of the movies and the shows that were shooting here kind of gracefully moved out of this state in the same way that has happened with California and New York and everywhere else in the U.S., whereas a lot of these productions have gone overseas because they can save money. I mentioned this before. I'll say it again. Young Rock was shot in New Zealand. A lot of things were shot in New Zealand. I think Good Cop, Bad Cop on the CW was as well. And that's a new show, a show probably no one has ever heard of. And then what else? All of the superhero movies are basically gone. Marvel pulled up a stake. But then we do have a lot more incentives in the United States to shoot shows and movies. New Jersey has become sort of its own kind of production hub. If you look at, here's a show that is shot in Georgia and also Oklahoma, Tulsa King. There you go. I don't know how much is shot in Georgia, but I know at least enough for them to put the little peach tag in the credits. Also, it's very funny to sit in a movie theater and watch a movie like The Smashing Machine, and then the Made in Georgia logo to come up like, wait, what? What part of this was shot in Georgia? On 2 Thursdays ago, Trilith Studios held a summit on the state of the film industry. Trilith is located in Fayetteville, and I think it's like a British arm, or American arm of the British Studios. No, it's American. It's just American. I don't know. I'm a stupid fucking idiot, apparently. Movies that have shot there include Ant-Man, Avengers Endgame, The Suicide Squad, The Tomorrow War, WandaVision. That was as Pinewood. And then when they changed their name to Trilith Studios, you have movies like the newest Superman, the currently filming Moana. There's also, Saturday Night. That's right. I knew that was shot there. the Ms. Marvel TV show, the Echo TV show, Peacemaker season 2. So you can see that they have a varied resume, but with a company like Disney pulling out, it kind of leaves everybody in limbo. But Trilla Studio president Frank Patterson is very optimistic. He says, what's going on in Georgia is, of course, indicative of what's happening across the United States. The Georgia Film Office reports production spending has dropped from over $4 billion in 2022 to around $2.6 billion in 2024. Well, I mean, also for that, it's just a lot of these companies just wanting to save money on costs. So it's not even just that they have to find the right place to shoot. They also they want to find the right place to shoot. They also just don't want to spend the money on actors or whatever. Film permits in Atlanta dropped roughly by half in the last year. They also talked about artificial intelligence to create jobs and help content creators break into the film and TV industry. On the artificial intelligence and the emerging technologies, Patterson said, these are the moments where the innovation is happening, and the next upswing really promises to be something amazing because of all the emerging technologies, because of the expansion and the acceleration of all these creators that are now emerging. He's talking about using AI to make jobs and somehow utilize that. I don't know how that would be possible but I have seen that argument before where AI will free up a lot more time for other jobs to be done. And it's a lofty. Again, I've used this word 2 or 3 times. Lofty, but it's something that is the biggest ambition of them all, and I don't know if creating AI, if using AI to make something, to make workers work, is something that's possible. Here's a continued quote. It's not about using AI to say, oh, this can replace 10 humans, let's do it. It's, how does this create jobs for 20 humans? So let's use AI, but let's double the output. That was said by Jeremy Gerlich, the founder and CEO of the production company American High. I just don't know if that is possible. Is something that is meant to simplify. Oh God, I'm so hungry. If something that is meant to simplify the job prospect, something that is supposed to be used to basically get rid of that process for the human beings that do it, is it possible for that to open up jobs elsewhere? We just talked about Meta and Amazon cutting jobs because of AI. Who knows? So they're waiting on tax incentives and tax laws, and hopefully that'll open up more business. And New Jersey is so popular right now because they have competitive gains when it comes to tax incentives, in the same way that Los Angeles and California as a whole rather has introduced better tax incentives as well. For Georgia, in order to create more jobs, you're going to have to open up that pocketbook. And instead of offering, so much money, I don't know what the tax incentives are, but instead of offering so much money, you might have to double that. And then also, or maybe if you can't, also offer other benefits. Because I do think losing a company like Disney and even smaller productions is really harmful to an industry area that could be much bigger than it is. How many Walking Dead shows were just made here alone out of the 7 that I think exist? I'm not going to go check. I'm not going to check how many Walking Dead shows there are, and I'm not going to check how many were made here. But if I had to guess, I'm going to say there are 5. I know I said 7, but I'm going to guess 5. Okay, now I have to check. Let's see. The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, World Beyond, Tales of the Walking Dead, Dead City, Daryl Dixon. 6. The Ones Who Live is not a show. Is that a show? It is a show. I thought it was a movie. And then more Tales from the Walking Dead. 7. I said 7. All right. I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people sometimes. If you want to see a video version of this show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see me on the other podcast. LinkedIn Log, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. There's also a monologue now, so so check that out. If you want to see the entertainment business news show, The Constitutionals, head there to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts as well. You can also watch a video version of my conversations with A-list, B-list, and C-list celebrities under the interviews. Follow us on social media at C+Comedy on Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram. Me at Chad Black White. Thanks so much. Bye.